Now notice first that this question is similar to some of the ones we've seen before, but slightly different. Which choice best states the main idea of the text? Before, we were being asked about the main purpose. Does it matter? No, not to me, but to the SAT it does. This, I think, would be considered a information and ideas question, whereas all the ones that came before, I'm pretty sure would be considered craft and structure. So if you've taken a PSAT or an SAT already and you've looked at your score report, those are completely separate categories. To me, they're the same. This is a good example of the College Board just not really thinking through what their categorizations are or how that you're going to interpret your results. Basically, if a question is a passage-based question, with these longer answer choices, it's going to be answered the same way. We're going to read the passage, we're going to come up with some sort of dumb summary of what we're reading and use that to kind of sort through the answer choices, being careful of strong words that get in the way of that choice. So main idea of the text, let's do the same thing we did before. We don't really care where it's from. Let's focus first on any information that might help us understand it. 8-year-old Heidi and her friend's grandmother are looking at some illustrated books. Okay. Heidi had come and was looking with wondering eyes at the splendid pictures in the large books. Well, they're splendid. That sounds good. That grandmama was showing her. Suddenly, she screamed aloud. Uh-oh. For there on the picture, she saw a peaceful flock grazing on a green pasture. Well, that sounds positive, but is this negative? What's going on? In the middle, a shepherd was standing, leaning on his crook. The setting sun was shedding a golden light over everything. Golden light. With glowing eyes, Heidi devoured the scene. So glowing eyes, devouring the scene. Now I think devouring means normally it means you're eating something really, really fast, right? You're so hungry, you're just like shoveling it in your mouth. But devour also has this kind of more metaphorical sense where it just means like you're really just absorbing it and you are doing it intensely. So this may be a bit of a vocab issue for some of you, but that last sentence is definitely positive. She's just so enraptured, impressed by what she's reading and seeing that she's just like fully involved in it. So this is all good. So what's my dumb summary? Well, just keep it simple. It's positive, right? This is a good experience for Heidi. So let's look at the choices, see if anything matches with that. A, Heidi is upset until she sees a serene image of a pasture in one of Grandmama's books. No. So notice that the main word in this choice is negative. If she were upset, then we would get much more negativity in this passage. We get the screaming aloud, but you should know by your age that screaming is not always bad, right? I mean, I've seen some of you people go to these, Justin Bieber, K-pop concerts, and you're just screaming Taylor Swift. I've seen it. It doesn't mean you're upset with Taylor Swift when you're screaming at the stage. You're excited, right? So screaming can also have this positive idea. We can't forget that and let the choice make us second guess what we kind of sense is going on here. So we sense it was positive. Let's stick with that. The idea of someone being upset is not supported by this passage. Don't twist those words to fit the choice. Make sure the choice fits the words. B, Heidi is delighted and fascinated by an image she sees in one of Grandmama's books. This is just a longer way of saying this is a good book, right? She's happy with the book. So let's keep that in. That seems pretty good. Choice C, Heidi is initially frightened by an image in one of Grandmama's books, but quickly comes to appreciate its beauty. Again, they're really hoping that we interpret this scream as fear. But let's think about it. Where does it say that she is frightened? We need evidence of that. So we have the scream, but then what does she see? A peaceful flock. You really think that she's turning the page, seeing a bunch of nice fluffy sheep, and she's afraid of the sheep? It doesn't make any sense, right? So you can't let your first reaction to one word influence your entire reaction to the passage, right? There's maybe this one screaming thing that maybe makes us think it's negative, but there's so much else that's positive. And so we have to weigh that. The positive far outweighs the negative. So that's going to be our dumb summary. And that's why I put that big plus sign there. So we don't let this second guess you. She's not afraid of the image. They're just nice fluffy sheep. She's just excited. It's a scream of joy. It's very calming, I guess, all these sheep. And so she's happy to see them. I don't know. They must be very impressive sheep. So that is not right. They're trying to trick you here. This is definitely a trap answer. Let's look at D. Heidi's inspecting an image in one of Grandmama's books because she has never seen a shepherd with his sheep hook before. This is very strong. Basically, when we get these words that are very absolute, in my mind, this is almost like a quantity word because never means zero, right? Never is zero. And so that's a quantity, right? Or the lack of a quantity. And so whenever we see those in answer choices, we have to be careful because that needs to be justified. So do we have any evidence that she's never seen this, a shepherd with his sheep before? No, I mean, maybe if she hadn't, then that's explaining why she's excited, but we're not allowed to make that assumption. The passage has to say it. This is a big claim. So this is a good example of a choice that goes too far. It's possible that it's true, but that's not enough to justify it. It needs to be provably true. It's such a big claim that we need evidence of that in the lines, and we don't get that. What we do get evidence of is that she's delighted and fascinated by the image. There is an image. It's in the book. Is she delighted? Well, she's looking with wondering eyes at the splendid pictures. That sounds a lot like being delighted and fascinated. There's evidence. So if we can point to stuff in the lines, that is much better than making up a story in our heads. And here they're really hoping that you get so focused on that word scream that you just completely ignore everything else going on in the passage. Don't fall for traps like that.